Road crashes claim an estimated 14,000 lives every year and cost the economy billions. Collisions also often leave many others disabled and disfigured. The Road Accident Fund is running a campaign to put a spotlight on disability and what support they provide to those affected. Joining me to discuss this is RAF's Promotion and Activations Manager, Advocate Khathu Magadani. Advocate, thank you so much for talking to us today. Why this campaign?
Well, good evening, and good evening to the viewers at home. Then this campaign is very important. It's a milestone in the Road Accident Fund as we mark the introduction of a Braille system, which we have introduced as another official language on our system. It's very important to contribute to the disability world at large. Then as RAF, one of the government institutions, we wouldn't want to be left behind. And then we realized that we have a lot of people within our system that have suffered serious injuries and as a result are disabled because of the road fatalities. That is why as RAF, we are saying this month as we mark the Disability Month, take care of yourselves on the road. Be on the lookout for negligent people, those who don't care about other people's lives, because we know and understand what impact do those serious injuries have on people.
Now, apart from the Braille system that you've introduced, what else and how is it going to unfold?
This is how it normally happens at the Road Accident Fund. Let me just paint a picture of how our approach as the Road Accident Fund is. We understand that people get injured and then there is that need for us to intervene at an early stage and also after the people perhaps have been discharged from the hospital. So we have got what we call a POP program. Through the POP program, we are able to intervene and make indelible marks, such as perhaps we end up remodeling disabled people's home, and then we put the ramps, we put whatever the necessary equipment. We can also buy prosthetics, you see, for those perhaps who need them. And then, depending on the need, then it's based on the needs analysis of a person who's involved or who's disabled at the time of the accident.
And, you know, how accessible will it be to people? Because we have seen some concerns in the past about your services not being readily available to those who need it most.
I'm proud to say, you know, I mean, in the past few years, we have what we call a footprint, the RF footprint, where we extended throughout the whole country. We have what we call customer services centers, which were established in other provinces where we didn't have a footprint before. And then we also have what we call hospital-based consultants in those public provincial hospitals, where when an accident occurs, instead of you going and lodging a claim, then you'll find our people there, then they will come and address the situation and arrest it from there. And then we also what we call walk-in centers, where you can just walk in to lodge your claim. So our facilities are friendly, wheelchair friendly, you see, so we've got the ramps for those perhaps who feel that they will need that assistance. Then we've got people who have been trained in terms of customer centricity to handle people of special needs.
Now, one of the things that some people complain about the service that they receive and the quality of the service that they receive. Now, if you look at what you're saying right now, how is that message being drilled down to the foot soldiers that are actually at the cold face of everything, that need to be servicing members of the public to ensure that they do their work with diligence?
In the past year, as I've said, in the past years or so, we have improved our customers' centricity. We are educating people, our own staff, in order to interface with the customers. And you can see, because, you know, I mean, numbers don't lie. We have improved, because if you claim directly with the Road Accident Fund, it has now proven that the turnaround time is 649 days. Whereas if you come to the Road Accident Fund through a legal representation, then it will be 1,400 and odd days. So that is more than double of what and how we handle our claims internally through our own processes. So you can see that our people really are wearing their hearts on their sleeves to try and make a turn on the customer centric.
And talking about the numbers, how much of a concern for you is, as the Road Accident Fund, is the issue of the budget? Because around March, there was also concern at the fact that, there isn't a lot of money that is available, and that could hamper the claims that, and the payouts that the fund has to actually make to people.
It is true. I mean, as the fund, we manage over 3 billion per month, which is bigger than a GDP of a smaller neighboring countries. So, and looking at the number of fatalities that we experience in South Africa, 3 million doesn't come closer to addressing that. And the other thing that perhaps I'll need to allude to is that as the Road Accident Fund, we attract liability even before the claim is registered. So every time when you see an accident, think about the Road Accident Fund. So, and then think about the people who are involved, and then there is the kind of claims that will emanate. So that is why sometimes they talk of technical insolvency in that regard. So we are able to meet those that we can at that particular point in time, particularly the ones that we will process. You see, and then as the Road Accident Fund, we haven't forgotten our mandate, because our mandate really is to compensate and rehabilitate those people who were involved in accidents.
And if you're talking about compensating those that you can at the time, does it mean that you currently have a backlog?
Of course, we will always have a backlog. As I've indicated earlier on, our backlog, it starts when an accident happens, even when before it gets claimed. It gets put to the Road Accident Fund. So you can, the claim process itself, it takes a little bit longer. So the number of claims that we receive vis-a-vis the number of claims that we process, of course, the number of claims that we process will be lesser than the number of claims that we receive as the Road Accident Fund. But ultimately, we will end up attending to all the claims that we receive as the Road Accident Fund and as per our mandate.
And Advocate, I can't shy away and not ask you this. There's issues around lawyers, lawyers that continue to be a headache and somewhat rob some of the claimants that, were supposed to approach you directly. Is the Road Accident Fund doing anything about that at all, or is it something that is just a matter of concern, but you choose not to get involved?
We have raised a number of campaigns. For instance, hashtag Claim Direct at the Road Accident Fund. The hashtag Claim Direct, it is meant to encourage people to come straight to the Road Accident Fund. Section 19 itself of the Road Accident Fund, it specifically states, or it starts off by saying, you can put your claim to the Road Accident Fund directly, even before it allocates the number of options that a person can take. So we, as the Road Accident Fund, we are not shy to say we are the masters of this game. You see, even if you come through the attorney, it will end up with us. So why not come directly with us? And then, it will also afford you a chance to understand these processes from the beginning to the end. It will also assist you in that you will get your money. And the other hurdle that we have at the Road Accident Fund is that people don't really get feedback from the necessary representatives. They don't really know what is happening. So what that means is that even when we pay, so some of them don't even know. But if you claim directly with the Road Accident Fund, we are proud to say then that money and all the processes will be explained, and then you will understand them fairly well.
And you said it takes about 649
days.
649
yes.
days. That's over 2 years.
Yes.
And are you looking at the fact that maybe at some point we reduce the number of days and the time that it's taking for claims to be processed? Because I think 2 years is quite a long time.
Yes, I'll give you an example. Remember, the type of claims that we process at the Road Accident Fund, they also determine as to how long will it take on the system before a claim is settled. I'll give you an example. If you come with a minor, let's say, soft injury, then it's easy to settle. You see, whereas if you have, say, for instance, injuries, head injuries, which perhaps may affect your skull and the brain. So there is a number of specialists that you have to consult, and then the brain, veins, and all of those. So those specialists, you have to see them after a certain period in time. So you'll have to see, for instance, a specialist who specializes in brain after a year of meeting what we call maximum medical intervention. That is a complete healing, because they can't see you before they make sure that you are completely healed. So completely healing is a process in itself. So we don't want, as the Road Accident Fund, to be seen to be undersettling. So if we settle within a year with such kind of injuries without making a proper assessment, then people will turn out and say the road accident fund didn't do a proper job. Therefore, they've undersettled. Whereas if we give it time and then make sure that all the processes have been followed thoroughly, then we will be able to settle fairly. And then all of us will be happy as the fund, and then the victim himself or herself will be happy as well.
Let's talk about settling. How do you determine how much should go to each claimant?
We have got case law, and then we've got what we call precedents, which have been said before, case per case, and then also, it also depends as to the type of injuries that the person has suffered. I'll give you an example. If your work involves using a hand to write, and then my work may not involve using my hand to write. It also, okay, I think the practical example is using your own voice.
Okay.
You see, compared to someone who doesn't broadcast, then if someone else were to lose their voice and then you were to lose your voice, surely the assessment of your claim won't be the same. So you will have to be more favorable because it has impacted on your earning and earning capacity. Whereas for someone else who doesn't depend on their voice, it means nothing. So also the compensation there, it won't be similar. So I won't say the loss of voice will mean the same to you as opposed to someone else.
And just as a final question, if there's somebody that is sitting with a matter that probably is not resolved and they're still waiting to either hear back from the RAF or anything of that sort, how do they get in touch, with your offices in order to be able to ensure that they do get the help that they require? Because this continues to be a thorny issue for a lot of South Africans.
Well, nationally, as I've said, we do have 5 regional offices. And then they can visit our website, www.raf.co.za, to find out more of those CSCs and hospital-based offices and customer services centers. And then we have what we call a call center, a shared call, actually. And then call center, which opens between 7:45 in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Then the number is 0860 235523. Let me repeat, it's 0860 235523.
Thank you so much, Advocate Khathu Magadani there from the Road Accident Fund. They've just launched a service that is going to be making it easier for those living with disabilities in order to be able to access their system. But of course, the other issues as well that he says can be addressed, throughout their system, and to ensure that in all the centers across the country you do get the assistance. Now, after the break, we'll bring you the latest news making headlines, and we will also chat to Colin Dlamini on the Copyright Amendment Bill and the Performers Protection Amendment Bill. Stay with News at Prime.